Yes, team. Hope we're good. So, welcome to this week's Discover and Develop episode. This one's going to be really short, about 15 minutes. It's just a bite size kind of overview of how I would approach nutrition moving forward, especially if you're someone who tends to struggle with the planning and preparation and organization around it. So, we're going to discuss a few little things with regards to go-to breakfasts, lunches, dinners, a little bit about snacking, recruiting social support. And then I just want to basically give you a bit of an understanding about neural pathways when we're trying to build these new habits. So whether you're someone who tracks your food, whether you've been guessing it, whether you've been all over the place, I believe this Zoom in a very short time period will be able to give you some good nuggets to take away that you can actually integrate and implement into your weeks that will allow you to get the best possible physical progress. So I know people have had, let's say, physical goals, emotional goals, mental goals, whatever it might be. We all know that our physical body, our physical form is a representation of how we think and behave. Okay, so if we want to change that, we need to start thinking and behaving differently when it comes down to our food. So being disciplined is a very difficult thing, but at the same time, it's like a muscle. The more you work it, the better it becomes. So starting off, so having at least 3 go-to breakfasts. So these should be based around protein and fats and should be quick and easy to whip up in the time that you have in the morning. Now, you can do some things from the night before, depending on how you approach your nutrition. Some people do overnight oats, which have high protein in it. But what I would recommend is have your focal point around protein and fats first, and then carbohydrates after. What most people tend to do is they just bung anything together, and it ends up being high carb and medium fats and quite low protein. So if you want to get the most out of your day, if you want to be fuller for longer, and you want to be clever around your nutrition so that you hit your protein early, so whatever calories you do have left over, the evening, you can actually use it for things that you actually really enjoy. Now, food shouldn't be boring either way. And if you're just doing chicken and rice and veg, it's going to get boring very quickly. So some examples that I've used here: eggs, whey protein, with yogurt, nut butter, protein shakes, beef steak, chicken sausages. So we could be making egg white omelets or normal 3-egg omelets with, bacon medallions or, turkey rashers. So there's so many different things that you can bring into the morning. But what I would recommend is definitely having a high protein breakfast if you're someone who's been really struggling with regards to getting the right nutrients in, lacking on protein, and probably having too many snacks throughout the day. Something I discussed on the Zoom for people who needed essentially more help, which was actually a very good Zoom, and I'm sure they took quite a lot away from it, was if you're looking at cravings are driven by a number of things. It could be lack of sleep, it could be really poor nutrients that you're bringing to your body. It could be down to essentially addressing a feeling or an emotion. You know know the term blasted, whether you're bored, lonely, anxious, stressed, tired, emotional, or drained. Any one of these things can trigger you to snacking. But the problem that we have is when we start the day with snacking or cravings, and we give into those cravings, there's a center in your brain which you completely open up once you start to open that craving center. So when you start these cravings and you give into it, you only open up more cravings because you open up the craving center in your brain. Not only that, we're also fighting against dopamine, which is the strongest chemical in the human body, whether it's any instant gratification with regards to food, alcohol, sex, drugs, money, and all the rest of those things. So when we're driven by dopamine and when we're driven by cravings and when we're not supplying our body with the nutrients that it actually needs to thrive, and we've got lack of sleep and our routine's slightly all over the place and we're guessing our food, then we're really setting ourselves up for failure. So if we want to address the snacking that we do have or the mindless eating, we need to address how we approach our day-to-day. And having at least 3 go-to breakfasts, which are high protein and a good level of fats, and obviously you can introduce carbohydrates after, I believe will give you the best possible opportunity. So once you've watched this, go away, write down your 3 breakfasts. Then we've got to look at batch cooking lunches, okay? So if we're really busy, and a lot of us are busy people. There's a lot of parents, there's a lot of people who work ridiculous hours. So most busy people get caught out with regards to their food when they're at work. Okay, so that's why preparation is actually key. If you find a meal recipe that you really enjoy, batch cook it. Sometimes when I cook a dinner and it's really nice, the next time I cook it, I'll cook 3 to 5 meals, and that's 3 to 5 lunches. You can keep adding different carbohydrates to it or vegetables, but if you've got a good protein source with good vegetables, you can just keep switching up the game. Okay, so if you make I put here like a clean chicken korma, or certain wraps, beef chili, 2% fat turkey mince burgers, whatever it might be, you will have certain recipes that you really enjoy. If you batch cook this rather than just cooking one dinner, okay, let's say on a Monday evening or a Sunday evening, whether you prep on a Sunday or a Monday, for me, I like doing Monday evening. I'll just make a really good and tasty dish, and I'll have it for 3 or 4 days. Now, personally, for me, I don't really keep food after 3 days. It goes in the bin, but I would just make sure that every single time I cook a healthy meal or a really good meal, I just make 3, 4 portions of it. And once you keep doing that consistently, you start to build that habit, you'll find yourself not getting stuck. You'll become unstuck. You'll start to do things more subconsciously, and it really doesn't take that long, guys. So I said here, ensure that these meals can be easily reheated. You could choose a new meal every 3 to 5 days. So you just keep switching it and rotating it. But as long as you have those go-to things that you actually like the 3 breakfasts and the lunches, you probably won't get bored. Or try a new recipe every 3 to 5 days. Try something completely new that is completely healthy, sticks within a good calorie range, gives you a good supply of nutrients, a good level of protein, and you'll actually find that this way works, whether you're tracking or not. So obviously these are the examples down here again. So important one is having some go-to recipes for your evening as well. So like I said at the beginning, no one wants to be eating chicken and rice every evening after a long working day. It's boring. You probably won't want to get it out of the fridge. You'll whack a pizza in for your kids or something and probably start snacking on that, because we all know that's a lot more tastier. So, really, you don't want to be creating any tension at home because you're eating something different to the rest of the house. Therefore, having some go-to recipes that are the whole house and you can all enjoy together, but you can still stay on track with regards to your goals, obviously hitting higher protein. We've got to make this a non-negotiable, because think about the example you're setting all those people around you as well. And we'll come to it at the very end about getting people on side and getting people to understand the journey that you're on, because I feel like that is the biggest downfall a lot of the time, is when you're so disconnected from everyone else in your home or your friendship circle or your family, that it often feels like a lonely journey and one that you're never going to win. So, having certain recipes in the evening, again, like dinners will probably be cooked fresh every night, but having those 3 breakfasts as go-tos, and at least having, a meal swap every 3 to 5 days with regards to lunch, you can start to enjoy dinners a lot more. But just making sure you're prepared in the day will keep you on course for the evening as well. And then that leads me to snacking. We need to have some go-to snacks. Probably not the ones that you guys would like at the bottom, but we'll go through it either way. So snacking can be the biggest downfall for all of you, myself, and pretty much everyone. Okay. So I always recommend avoiding snacking as much as possible, because if we're having good, bulky, healthy meals that are keeping our food society up, so keeping fuller for longer, always having a good protein source in there, you probably want to snack less. The problem is we don't really fulfill our palate that well with nourishing meals and planned meals. So we end up putting anything together that's relatively healthy, and we end up getting bored of it. And that's why people always fall into the mindset of like, oh, I want a snack, or I want something sweet. But how I've said it here. So, however, if you have to snack, make sure you are prepared with go-to protein-based snacks that allow you to stay on track. If you struggle with protein, it's a no-brainer. You have to make sure that your snacks are protein-based, whether that's protein yogurts, 0% fat Greek yogurt, which gives you loads of protein. Things like beef jerky, biltong's pretty similar, apart from the way it's cured is a lot different. It takes a week, whereas beef jerky is 24 hours. Any cold meats that you've cooked and stored. The other day I cooked a pork joint. sliced it all up, and I just snapped on that every now and again, but it works. A protein shake and protein bar at the last resort, if you need something sweet or you need a little kick. At least then if you're low on protein, you've got those things as well to kind of add into the locker of what you can essentially eat. What you do want to avoid is those sweet snacks, the ultra processed crisps, chocolate, cakes that aren't going to fill you up. They're only going to lead you to wanting more of having that. You'll devour a pack of biscuits, half a cake, 3 bags of crisps, and you'll probably do that all in one sitting as well. So we have to make sure that when we're eating, we're really mindful. Be conscious of what these foods are going to do to you and how they're going to make you feel. Because when I'm looking at snacking, sometimes when I'm really needing to be disciplined because I can feel myself going off course, I'll say, okay, for one, if I eat this food, what's it going to do to me in terms of how is it going to nourish my body and how is it going to make me feel after? And then after, how is it going to make me feel? What are the catastrophic effects of that? It'd be chronic fatigue, tiredness, more cravings, feeling bloated, feeling gassy, whatever it might be that is kind of you guys, how ultra processed food makes you feel. Just remember that feeling. And every single time you do that, ask yourself, am I bored? Am I lonely? Am I stressed? Am I anxious? Am I tired? Am I emotional right now? Do I feel drained? What is driving me to want this food, knowing that I'm really not that hungry? And if I am hungry, why don't I just cook myself a very nourishing meal that's going to make me feel really good after and probably help me sleep better? It will keep my mindset where it needs to be. I'll probably feel less stressed because of it. I won't open up the craving center in my brain. And at least then that you're really supplying your body with the nutrients to thrive. So when you actually go into your training sessions, when you go out for your walks, you can do it with energy rather than feeling like you're doing it because you just need to do it. Sometimes when you're eating well and avoiding the snacks, the ultra processed ones, you feel like doing things more. Now, instead of tracking food, plan it. I don't really care if you track your food or not. I'm worried about your health. I'm not worried about how you physically look. I would love for you all to get into the body, the dream body that you want, but that can't be done without real planning, preparation, and discipline around our nutrition. Everyone is talking about tracking food lately, but if you're extremely busy, it's actually not a reliable approach. To track absolutely everything, and it can be done, guys. I was working 14 hours a day and still tracking all my food. It can be done if you really want to do it, but I don't expect that. I can understand that I've got a real passion for what I do. And if some people are doing it because they're unhealthy and they don't feel good, whereas I was doing it to compete. So it's a very different kettle of fish. So I do understand if you're really busy and tracking is something that you don't really enjoy that much with regards to having an extremely busy lifestyle, by all means, don't track, but please just plan. We can't track food. If we can't track the food, we have to plan it. And if we want to avoid getting caught up, okay? The biggest thing that we find is when we're just winging it, convenience food, anything that you can kind of throw down your gob because you're busy, you're not really thinking about the food. And when you do eat the food, it's making you feel even worse. So I recommend having 2 days per week where you plan your food for the next 3 to 4, at least at one time. So once you get good at this, you can literally plan 3 or 4 days worth of eating in 10 minutes, literally in 10 minutes. And it saves you so much kind of, what do we call it? To making too many decisions. What's the word I was trying to think of? Decision fatigue. There you go. Decision fatigue. Making, on average, you're making 35 decisions every single day. If food has to be a continuum of those 35,000 decisions, we're always going to be stressed with it and we're going to have a bad relationship with it because we're just not doing something that's so simple. That's just planning it ahead of time. So remember, if we're just recapping nice and quickly. So have 3 go-to breakfasts, protein-based first, then follow with your fats. And if you want to add some carbs in after, then by all means do so. Batch cook all your lunches, okay? At least 3 to 5 days worth of lunches. Make sure, again, they're all protein-based. They've all got good kind of macronutrient balance and good micronutrients to make sure that we're absorbing the nutrients perfectly and making sure that our body's getting what it needs. Go-to recipes for the evening, so you're having tasty meals with your family. You're not obviously just, cooking chicken, rice, and veg. No one really wants that. And cooking 15 different meals because everyone wants something different. Not that you have 15 kids. Exaggeration, obviously, but just making sure you have some good go-to recipes. Snacking, one of the biggest things people's downfall is. Try and limit it as much as possible. If you do snack, make sure it's only protein-based. Fuck off the chocolates, the crisps, the cakes, and replace it with a few things that I've put at the bottom. Instead of tracking your food, if you're extremely busy and it's causing you more stress, just make sure we spend 2 days a week planning for the 3 to 4 days that you're actually going to implement. Okay. It really isn't rocket science, and it will massively help you. Then lastly, get your friends and family on board. One of the most common challenges I see with busy people when trying to eat better is not having the proper conversations with their family and friends. As we all know, some of you, this can easily create tension or battles around what you are doing. And this isn't just tension and battles with them. It's also battles with yourself because you haven't put that boundary in place. And it feels like you're unsupported. However, what I find is the most effective is having a real conversation with those about why you are doing it and how it will benefit everyone. It will neutralize the tension, and they become much more supportive of what you are doing. And also it might get them to question what they are doing. If you recruit your family and friends and really get them on board with regards to what you're doing, you actually might be the influence of them changing it. If you're constantly associating nights out and going out with friends as fun in bars and going out to eat, maybe you need to change your associations or change your friends. No, I'm joking. Don't change your friends. But, like I said to you, you have to learn the boundary of saying no. You have to learn the boundary of being able to change what it is that you currently do so you can live the life that you want to live. No one's in your head when you wake up in the morning. These friends that you go out with aren't going to wake up the next day and feel shit with you. They're going to feel shit on their own, just like you will feel shit on your own. You are going to be stressed. That is going to come out in different ways and different reactions to people around you and what you do for your work and what you do for yourself. So this isn't just about being conscious of what you're eating. It's being conscious because you actually want to operate day to day, being happy, being confident, and being you. But you're pulling yourself away from being you, authentically you, because you're doing what everyone else wants you to do, irrespective of what the effects of those actions are. So if you want to build new habits, I'm going to give you a brief example on neural pathways. So I explained it on the Zoom to a few people who are struggling with certain things. Now, whether you've got sugar cravings, whether you need to build a new habit and go into the gym, whether you need to start running, whether you need to start saying no to friends, whenever you're building a new habit, your brain essentially is working on neural pathways. The neural pathways that you've built are what feels comfortable when your thought goes along it. It's smooth, it operates nicely, and it's strong. Now, the analogy I'm going to give you is if you imagine standing at a crossroad, okay, and you've always gone left. The road on the left is finished. It's smooth, it's strong, it's perfectly okay to go down. The other 3 roads are full of rubble, unfinished, but you can still go down there. It'll take a little bit longer. It'll be a bit more of a rough ride. Your car won't like it. You're definitely not going to like it, and it's going to feel pretty shitty. If you was to choose every single day to go down the smooth road, which you've always done, it's always going to give you the same result. However, you need to get somewhere else one day, and you need to do it because you can't move forward in your life or you can't get to the destination that you're going after. So you need to take one of the rough roads. But your brain, you yourself, and the car is telling you, oh my God, we shouldn't be going down here. So you automatically want to revert back and go down the path that you've always gone down. To be able to build these roads, you have to keep going down it, getting out your car and fixing the road, and keep going along and fixing the road every single day until that road's finished and you've built a strong, smooth pathway for that car to go down. That's when you build a new habit. So habits are always going to feel sticky, rough. They're going to feel rubbly. They're going to feel like you're going over, horrible stones in your car, walking on pebbles with bare feet. That's what it's going to feel like. Whereas the habits that you now have and the things that you now do, the associations that you have, the going out to the bars, the clubs, going out for meals, the way you come home and sit on the sofa, how you brush your teeth, what direction you brush your teeth in, how you make your coffee, how you stir your tea, how you sit down and stand up, how you drive a car. They're all smooth roads. However, anything new that you're trying to build, planning, journaling, going to the gym, pushing yourself in the gym, going out for longer walks, changing your evening routines, morning routines, how you speak to people, being more self-aware, all these pathways haven't been built yet. So for you to do those actions feels rough. Doesn't feel like you want to do it. And your brain's telling you, well, no, fuck you. You taught me to do this. So we're going to go down the road we've always gone. So that's how neural pathways work. So your brain is highly adaptable. If we look at the words neuroplasticity, neural being brain, plasticity being dynamic, being able to adapt and change, we can change our physical nature of our brain, which is absolutely crazy. So the neurons that we currently work off and the neural pathways that we have and the way we are on a circuit and the way we fire and wire on these circuits can be changed with consistency, consciousness, and being able to push through the rough feeling that we have when we're trying to build new habits. So I hope that helps. I hope you understand that. I'm pretty sure we went over 15 minutes, but let me know if this was beneficial. Hopefully you can use the kind of roadmap for nutrition on how to plan your days. But yeah, hope it really helps, guys. So take care and give me some feedback.